Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hey, Shikai, how are you, man?
Great. How are you?
Good. To be honest, I felt a lot of pressure when we were invited to talk about this, because AI agents are kind of like the talk of the town. So you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's jump into it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So specifically talking about AI agents and the architecture of play, mostly what we try to talk about here are AI agents applied to the gaming experience. So obviously, in the case of where we are, it has to do with on-chain or games that have to do with a blockchain. How are you seeing the landscape now? Right? Are there exciting things? Is there a range of things that you're seeing that's more experimental, more exciting, or catching any traction?
Right. I think it's obviously no secret that we are in this like AI hype cycle, right? Everybody wants something to do with AI, right? And in fact, many people even say AI bubble. But at the same time, people do recognize that AI agents in gaming, there's a huge novelty factor. So I think what we want to talk about here is where could be this kernel of value underneath this hype of using AI agents in games. And to think about that, we discuss a little bit of a spectrum of AI agents, right? So when we think about the use cases outside of gaming, most often we think about these productivity use cases, right? Using AI agents to automate or simplify certain workflows, certain backend processes, and that could be applied to gaming as well. But it's a very confusing concept because why do you need productivity improvement in games, right? I thought like, isn't that the whole point of gaming, right? You want to enjoy the grind. You want to spend time to explore the world. Like, why do you want this AI agent to just do everything for you? Then like, what's left for you to do? But there are certain games that kind of lend value to this. So I think one kind of like outlier example, which hasn't specifically talked about AI agents, is something like eFrontier, where it's meant to be an autonomous world, and it's meant to have these smart objects that persist in the world. And you can easily make the next logical leap that like, hey, actually, if the whole world is meant to be built up manually and having these persistent objects, it could also make sense for then AI agents as productivity agents within this kind of autonomous world, because you want everything to be done just fresh, ground up, bottom up within that world itself. And then if we go all the way to the other end of the spectrum and reject the notion that like, actually, no, agents are not meant to do your work for you. You're meant to play the game. So in that case, where is the value of AI agents? That's when the entertainment value can come in. So rather than you playing it, maybe you want to interact with an AI agent. Maybe you've seen certain people modding Skyrim where like, hey, your companion's an AI agent. Within crypto, the example here would be something like Parallel Colony, where you are giving instructions or like whispering to the brain of an agent, and it's making its independent decisions. In fact, we had a mock pitch hosted by Leah, and the winner of the mock pitch was this generative world. Imagine if RimWorld was put on chain and all of the characters there were AI agents. And by nature of this generative content, it is entertaining because it's somewhat random. Like they might not listen to you. They have unexpected outcomes, which you can then bet on in the prediction market. You might want to trade it in a certain way by owning these agents. There are new interesting things you can do. And then lastly, maybe there's some sort of in-between, right? Maybe they don't have to be so serious that they just accomplish a task like a laborer, nor do they have to be purely entertaining. They could kind of serve some sort of function. So one of our founders, so Renz from Sovereign, who's been building in autonomous worlds, they're actually integrating AI agents as NPCs, and specifically tutorial NPCs within Roblox. And it creates a much more engaging interface or like ways for new players to then personalize that onboarding journey and be able to interact in like a natural language rather than purely scripted functions and dialogues. So I think along the spectrum of like, pure productivity to entertainment and in between, there are various experiments that are happening, but make no mistake, we're still very early.
I like that you put it on the spectrum and give like clear examples in this area. So again, as you mentioned, like the more productivity tool-like things, like with something like Eve Online or Eve Frontier. For those who don't know, it's a massive multiplayer online space battle with real resources and all of this. And the others, and on the other end of the spectrum, which is about maintaining entertainment. With today, even like in non-Web3 related kind of like gaming, a lot of the challenge these days obviously is at least what I've seen working with them across the board, has mostly been kind of distribution, trying to get the players to understand or even try the game and retention. Is there any novel use case or do you feel is kind of stronger along the spectrum where agents can kind of solve that problem? Just I think a lot of this is very nascent, a lot of experiments that exist, but do you think that there's a area that agents actually add value into that conventional problem for game designers and developers?
Yeah, I think personally, I think there's actually one category that's really interesting. So maybe Ryan from Sonzai, or Rise as he's known online, he's building something like this where when you interact with your, I guess, companion or your twin.
Digital twin sometimes. Digital twin.
I don't want to spoil it, like he should pitch it. But the point is that it can be a very personalized experience and it's a generative experience. So the reason it can be sticky is that it's different every time. You cannot, it's not scripted. It responds to you. It remembers what you're doing. Okay, maybe actually a better example would be to compare that with a Grok companion. Maybe you've tried it and it's...
The waifus and husbandos of Grok, yeah, sure.
Right, it's pretty addictive. It's pretty, and why? Why, right? It's purely audio. It remembers you. It remembers the context, all your previous conversations. It can adapt to you according to like backgrounds and whatever. The conversation goes where you want to go. You can always switch on your camera and show it various things in the real world and can respond. So it really feels that you're engaging with somebody or some sort of entity that's perfectly attentive to you, always there for you, always ready to engage and like so adoring of you. And you can craft different engagement models there, but this is something that there's no human that can give you that level of interaction.
Do you think that there's some hindrance, or sorry, I think the better word might be hesitation from players with that kind of level of new kind of companion situation? I don't know on the ground per se, but I'm wondering in your experience and what you've seen, that if that solves like engagement to a new level, do you see any hesitation to the technology in terms of like questioning very meta like reality, or does it devalue the human connection between gamers that sometimes has a lot of times been pushed as what's good or pushed gaming forward was kind of like the human connections you make through it, right? Do you see any of that becoming friction rather than an advantage, or is it just pure advantage and we're gone into this solo journey almost with AI agents within the game experience?
It sounds like you're trying to drive home a point. Like, so are you trying to tease out some examples?
No, I just think that, again, I'm a mid-millennial, right? And a lot of the value when I go back to kind of like deciding what, we talked a little bit earlier about how, in my experience, and how this has been used in kind of like some Web 2 distribution, is if something, and something is just a personal litmus test, is if it's recommended to me by a personal peer outside of the profession, because we obviously dabble in gaming. So a lot of the value that I attributed and I would justify to my wife and family why gaming is good is because of the social aspect with the friends you've made along the way, right? Now, but if it becomes a personal meaning that it's personal as a human, but social with an agent, is that net better? Considering, again, just to bring it back home, in the past, I always understood it as a net benefit because of the human interaction happens. But that it's gone, is that actually better for does that help the industry move forward? Or does the silos not create value? A very heavy kind of a depth question, but when you talk about engagement, I wonder if that's, again, does that play out a certain way in your mind?
Okay. I think to answer that question, you kind of have to go to gaming itself, right? Because it's like, is gaming good for you? Or is that gaming good for society kind of a question, right? And and it depends on how you engage with it. No? It's just like any technology platform or any content platform. Like, sure, if you engage with it in a moderate, healthy way, it's good. But you can, of course, go too far and get addicted, become delusional, think this is your whole world, and then you shut off yourself. And so, of course, that can happen, right? In fact, people have committed suicide just by talking to AI companions before, because they went delusional and they asked like, oh, should I kill myself? And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, is this content? Sorry. But yes, as a form of like creativity or as a form of like content creation, why not? Why not? And I think that even in an individual interaction, it can become a social thing. If let's say I interacted with my companion or my agent, and then maybe I'm sharing about it with you, or maybe we are collectively interacting with a certain agent in a certain universe, right? And there's some sort of let's say prediction that's going on, or we're collectively interacting with a personality, or maybe you yourself, you're finding things out about yourself by interacting with an agent that knows you deeply and can engage you all the time. There are certain benefits to that. But yeah, just don't go too far.
Yeah, definitely not too far. So to bring it back, I think, because these are considerations that game designers actually have to make. So, the talk earlier, they were talking about how complex Web3 and crypto economies layered on top of games already are. You'll be probably one of the people most exposed to kind of these experiments with founders as an investor in all of this. So now it feels to me like there's a parallel experience for the game designers having to deal with tokenomics and the economies on top, and then now this entire genre of AI. So if a founder is going to come to you, and at least what you've seen, is layering these two experimental concepts an advantage, a disadvantage? How would you advise a founder or try to guide these two nascent, new, evolving things that are trying to win? Like, how should a founder think about these things when you have conversations with them?
As an investor, I try not to get in the way of founders. And we have learned over the years that especially the most contrarian, idiosyncratic, quirky founders, they have their own way, right? So I wouldn't try to say, oh yeah, you must use AI agents or you must use crypto. But I often find that the founders who like to tinker at the frontier are curious about what are the technologies or disruptive frontiers that can impact gaming. And many of them, if they already tinkered with crypto, naturally become curious with AI agents as well. So rather than saying that this is something you should do, I see it as like this is a natural consequence of trying to go where the industry is leading us, right? And sure, you can see it's very obvious today, crypto gaming is not mainstream, right? The panel right before us was talking about, have we caused, like, of course, not yet. Is there a path there? Perhaps, right, once we figure out some sort of model. It's also obvious that AI agents in gaming is not mainstream. You look at all the top games today, all the games that won top awards, top sales, top player counts, whatever, they don't have AI agents in them. But does that mean that the top 10 games in 5-10 years will not have it? I think there's a good chance that significant amount of them. So if you want to stay ahead, and if you want to look into disruptive forces, I would say definitely pay attention to the AI agent space.
I see. So is there any particular experience with AI agents that you've tried in the past 2 years, I guess, that they've been integrated into blockchain or to on-chain games that you've been deeply curious about or interested, or you're waiting to still launch that you just can't wait to kind of try? Again, my litmus test is, are you going to tell your friends outside of the industry of it? Is there anything like that you're excited about?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's certain magical moments, right? I think you've seen the video of the parallel colonies, like test gameplay as well. Yes. And when you see it, you're like, oh, it can do that? Like, hey, it can decide to do this, and you can just instruct it. I think that's something you would share. So I think right now, similar with a lot of frontier things, like in crypto or in AI or robotics, when it's very experimental, a lot of the value lies in entertainment and novelty. And also because the cost of using an LLM or AI agent may still be prohibitive for every single individual to use it extensively, unless you're paying like a hefty subscription, right? Or the platform is really subsidizing it heavily. So in this interim process, we have to rely on this like novelty attention factor, right? Similar to robots, right? A lot of robots are not yet, in your households, but people like to see them dance, see them fight, see them compete in sports. Same thing with the agents in games today. We're like, oh, like just the fact that they can do that is good enough.
Is there any particular, I think that within you mentioned companions, and I'm extremely excited kind of like the companion concept. I think personally within that same area, there's a bit of a spectrum as well. Things like digital twins to agentic pets or companions to, I think Parallel's interesting, which is you becoming an inner voice. Is there a particular format that you think is particularly interesting to break out, or what I like to look for when I look at kind of games, when I try to work with projects, or just in general, is things that do genre bending. I think genre bending is one of the most powerful things that determine new formats or make net new areas within the space of just general in gaming, even again within blockchain gaming. Is there any kind of things in the spectrum of the specific areas of companions or that you see
Yes.
pushing that?
Yes, I think they're not there yet, but there's one thing that has been on my mind, which I just spoke with Rise about just now, which is I love to see agents that can tell you no.
No, okay, you have to expound politely, please.
So if you think about all the AI platforms, ChatGPT, whatever, they are made to be completely subservient and loyal and attentive to you. But what makes a companion or an entity interesting is that they have their own mind. I think you've seen the little hints of that in Colony, where like ask you to do this thing and they're like, no, I'm not going to do it. Right? And like that's a very visceral reaction, because you're like, wait, what do you mean you're not going to obey my command? And immediately it feels much more autonomous and much more alive than a typical kind of tool.
So like the essence of agency is to be able to decide. So you're thinking that programming rejection of some level within it is, you're right, actually have not seen anything kind of close to that. So for anyone interested to look out, there's something probably to look out for. Okay, so I guess to wrap up, is there any particular thing that you think people should check out within the genre, or a particular thing that we should look out for anybody watching or for anyone listening, to keep up or to follow or to try things in the AI agent design space within gaming and blockchain?
Sure, time to show my bags, right? So I think within crypto, there are quite a few ecosystem or teams that are really experimenting here. Of course, I have to shout out to the Virtuals Protocol guys. They started off in the gaming space, but now it's also expanded to DeFi, entertainment, memes, everything more broadly. So there are a ton of agent builders there trying out different things. Among the founders that we've backed, we mentioned just now with Sovran and Renz, like they're building stuff in the autonomous world within Roblox, within like virtual sports and so on, which I think is for them to announce as well. And then, or something like what Sonza and Rise are doing with AI companions. I'm afraid I'm giving away too much. So yeah, I think definitely check out these guys.
I think the end of it, what everyone should take away is that there are a lot of exciting things to check out.
Yes. Check out Zentry as well. Also our portfolio company. They're doing like AI intelligence within crypto, but also within their games, right? They have Ragnarok, and as I understand it, there are AI plans in there as well. So yeah, everyone. I think generally, like I mentioned before, crypto gaming founders, many of them are already dabbling.
All right, so everyone's homework is when you go to the convention center is to go ask every booth with a demo, are there AI agents in your game? All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Shikai. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Now let's shift gears and discuss